Whovians, and welcome to another episode of Earth Station Who. That's right, folks. We are back, and we've got a great one. We are looking at the Fourth Doctor era, and we are going to the Planet of Evil. It should be a fun story. Of course, it's the Doctor and Sarah, and this is one of my favorite eras of Doctor Who, and it's going to be fun to talk about, and we've got a great crew to talk all about it. Of course, joining us this week is our guest, Rob Levy is back. Welcome, sir. It's been a while.
Hello, sir. Yeah, it has. Thank you.
No, it's great. And, I appreciate you joining us. And you're also going to be our victim tonight in the Geek Seat. And I know you did the regular Geek Seat over on Earth Station 1 a couple of years ago. And I'll be very curious. I've always been fascinating about your history with Doctor Who. So this should be a ton of fun.
Okay.
Okay. All right. There we go.
No pressure.
No pressure at all. Of course, we have our regulars joining us. Pretending to be Mary Ogle tonight is, of course, Dave Chapman.
Hello, everybody. How's it going?
Welcome. I was going to say Mary just let herself go, but,
Oh,
it's okay.
Oh,
wow. Terribleness.
Oh, I know. But,
why do I keep coming back to this abuse?
Well, we love having you, my friend. It's
and
good to see you.
I love
it's
being
always
here.
good. It's always good to be here with you, and it's also good to be with our other regulars. Let's say hey to Melanie Dean.
Hello, fellow Whovians. I can't wait to start chatting Who with you.
And of course, the one and only Mr. Michael Gordon.
Howdy.
How are you this week, sir?
I am doing good. Yes, this is my jam. This era is definitely my jam of Doctor Who. So I'm all over this one. This is great.
I'm actually surprised.
There's so much that we haven't covered in this era. So there's lots of good stuff.
Yeah, we'll basically for a while be becoming a Fourth Doctor podcast because we're running out of other doctors.
No
to talk
complaints
about.
From me.
No.
Same.
Nope. It's always great seeing Tom, and there's so many good stories yet to come for that we have not reviewed in all these years. So it's going to be a lot of fun to do, and we want to hear from you. So please write us. Feedback at earthstationwho.com is the best way to get in touch with us. Hopefully everyone's doing well and everything. Not a ton of Doctor Who news out there. There's some rumors going around, but it's not worth going into yet because, I want to get things concrete and everything. We don't even know when the spinoff is happening yet. All we know is it's next year. We don't know if it's early next year or a year from now. We're still waiting for the spinoff to happen. So we'll have to wait and see. But we do have a victim in the Geek Seat tonight. So let's strap Rob in and let's find out what kind of level of Whovian he really is. And I think, you and I first met at Dragon Con.
Yeah, that's how I met most of these fine folks.
And, you were already an expert at Doctor Who at this point. And
I'm not really an expert.
I use air quotes, of course.
No, I'm not in like the Alan Seiler level of expert or like the, people that are writing like massive books about it, but I'm more of a gentle scholar.
Okay, a casual scholar of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I don't want to be called an expert just because I don't know. We'll see. We could decide.
Okay, well, we'll find out in a second.
I like to use the word, personally, Rob, I like to use the word enthusiast. When someone calls me, when someone says like, are you an expert at Doctor Who? I'm like, I'm more of an enthusiast. I like Doctor Who a lot. So I'm enthusiastic about Doctor Who, not an expert about Doctor Who.
I'm amazed at how much I've retained about it. So.
It's true. Well, I think in your case, though, Rob, you've probably forgotten more than most people know. So this should be fun.
Okay.
All right.
So let's go ahead and ask him his first question in the Geek Seat. Rob, who was your first Doctor?
Okay, so I discovered Doctor Who in the weirdest way possible. That was through, wait for it, the Bantam books. Remember those?
Oh yeah,
it came before the target. Yeah, I had when I was riding the bus to high school. There was a guy on the bus that read science fiction books every week, and him and I were the only two people on the bus across town going to school in St. Louis. And he was older, but he had all these science fiction books. I'm like, oh my God, there's somebody else that reads science fiction. And so he was reading Genesis of the Daleks, and I'm like, tell me about this. He goes, oh, it's this show called Doctor Who, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, it's on. And I found out it was on my local PBS station in St. Louis. Okay. And so the first Doctor Who I watched on television, and it was on at 10:30 on Sunday nights, which is brutal if you're in high school and have to go to school the next day, right? But the first episode I ever saw was Underworld.
Oh.
And so I discovered, though, when I would go to I was lucky in that the bookstore that sold the Target books for Doctor Who and all the Doctor Who crap was next to the record store where I bought all my weird new wave and punk records. So these two things sort of developed simultaneously with me. So I found out there was a Doctor Who club in St. Louis called the St. Louis Celestial Intervention Agency. It's the oldest Doctor Who fan club in North America.
Right.
And I went to a meeting, and kids ask your parents. It was so long ago that they would get video cassettes from England that people would have videotaped Doctor Who off the TV and then sent the tapes over to America. Right.
Wow.
So the first episode that I saw in real time, was Peter Davison's Modern Undead.
Oh, wow.
So even though Tom Baker's the first one I saw, Davison is kind of my first Doctor because he was the first like current Doctor when I was a fan. So it was like diving in. All the Target books were coming out with his run, right? So he's probably, I would consider, my first Doctor.
Okay, fair enough. Which Doctor would you want to travel with?
I'm going to say Capaldi, just because there's a lot of ways that he's cool, and there's a lot of ways that he's smarter than the rest of them. He doesn't exactly jump into a fray without like looking around the entire situation and everything like that. So yeah, barely over Chapman, but yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Well, knowing your history with rock music, I'm not surprised that that's your pick.
Yeah.
Nope, you'd have him say, "Doctor, play some more guitar for me, please."
Yeah.
What Doctor would you not want to travel with?
I'm completely selfish. I'm going to say Pertwee, because you don't really travel with the third Doctor. You're kind of stranded, and you see a lot. You basically, with the third Doctor, you're seeing a quarry and a lot of like bubble monsters. So, and
good point.
That's fair.
Any of the women you would be with the third Doctor, you'd have no chance with to begin with. And the Brigadier kind of probably is a dick. I'm just getting the impression he's kind of probably not a nice and easy guy to work for. And also just the amount of physical strain that would come with working with the third Doctor. It's like that dude's running, he's jumping, he's kicking. It's like, dude, slow down. So I'm going with that one.
I love it. That is awesome. What geeks you out the most about Doctor Who?
I would say the incredible vast history of it. Mike and I have talked about this before, like the vast history of it and how it connects to other things. Like if you are a fan of Shakespeare, there are Shakespearean actors in Doctor Who. If you're a fan of like Blake Seven or Red Dwarf, there's actors that have been in both. If you like history, if you like television that has moral dramas, if you are a fan of like really bad, tacky, like if you like Ed Wood, how can you not like Doctor Who with the sets, right? If you like sort of well-written, smug kind of stuff, that's cool too. I love how it's got the different eras. Like tonight we're talking about the Hinchcliffe era, which is very heavy on goth stuff, right? But then later you get, some of the other eras where it's not as heavy. Right, it's a totally different vibe. So it's never really the same show from Doctor to Doctor. And if you like things like British film noir, you've got Hartnell in that. You've got Hartnell doing British film noir. If you like, you want to see comedy, you've got Troughton and McCoy, and just like literally everybody, probably except Judi Dench, has been in Doctor Who. So that's also cool. I mean, there's a certain, and just you can always learn about it. Like just the way they put out the history of it is really great. Like just the legacy of it, and also it's probably led me to more people that I would consider friends in my life than other things. So that's what I like the most about it.
Yeah, totally makes sense. What turns your geek off about Doctor Who?
A couple of years ago, I probably would have said nothing because everybody's great, but it's just gotten like, maybe in the last 10 years or so, it's kind of gotten weird, right? I've thought I'd never want to get off of like chat rooms and boards and stuff, just because like before you could say, oh, I don't like this doctor, I don't like this story. And it's like, okay, well, I like this one and it would be cool. Right now it's like, it's kind of weird. So that's kind of disturbing about it, but also sort of like, I always hate how everyone wants to say it's dead, right? It's like, okay, Doctor Who may be off of the air, but it's never dead because there's all of these people that are making audios and writing fanzines and doing their own thing with it and making costumes. So that's kind of the downside of it too. It's like, in the same way that people would say Star Trek never died, or Star Wars never died, you can't really say Doctor Who ever died.
No, agree with that one completely. Yeah, too many people are ready to, write it off and stuff, and people you thought were fans. And that could be an episode on its own, I think.
Yeah.
Which Doctor Who companion would you like to meet the most?
Oh man, there's so many of them. I'm going to say Jamie. I know it's a popular answer, but just you don't have to know a whole lot about anything to hang out with Jamie. He's just kind of like a regular. He's just kind of a regular guy. You could go have a pint with Jamie. You could go watch a soccer game with Jamie. You could probably go, walk down the street with the dude. Whereas some of them, you'd want to chill out with, but for a while and then leave, right? I mean, so yeah, I'm gonna say Jamie, just because he was actually the first companion I really took to as well.
No,
I think you could say the exact same thing about Frasier too.
Yes. Yes.
Very much so. Which Doctor Who villain would you like to meet the least?
Well, my first answer when I was prepping for this was Michael Grade, but I'm going to change that. And I was thinking about a couple different things. I was thinking about the Cybermen and just how terrifying it is, because even though the stories now have been kind of rubbish and garbagey, it's pretty terrifying to think that your entire body is being turned into a machine. But then I remembered probably my answer for this is going to be the Midnight Entity. Just because I love the fact it's a villain. We don't know anything about it. We don't have a physical, like, corporal image of it, and the suspension of disbelief in your mind and the imagination of the mind really works with it. So I think that's my answer for that.
What did you think of it returning this last season of Doctor Who?
I thought it was good. I mean, I would have loved it if they just didn't bring it back. Right. Yeah. I'd like something not to be brought, but I thought that was a very, very scary episode. And I also think that Ncuti is doing a different level of acting in that episode than he did in other ones. Right. And it's like, here's the doctor. He's like, go, go, go. Oh, crap. And he's sort of like hands off. Right. It's like, there's a certain like sort of like freak panic he gets when he finds out who that is or what that is. So, yeah, I thought it was really good in sort of building up the suspense to it. But, it still works so much better with the Tennant episode. But
nope, I definitely understand that. What was your favorite Doctor Who Geek Out moment?
Okay, there's a lot.
Oh yeah,
I've been lucky to have moderated a panel with all but one of the doctors since Patrick Troughton, and which is going to answer to my next answer. So I will say that while I did geek out meeting David Tennant, because I got to talk to him like a half hour before the panel, and I ended up like hanging out with him for like an hour or two, and it was like, oh wow, this is cool. I'd have to say the geek out thing was getting to talk to Eccleston. That Eccleston panel at DragonCon, I think, is probably the best panel I've ever moderated, because I just sort of said, screw it, I'm going to ask him why he left and why he's not coming back, but I'm going to tell him ahead of time I'm doing it and see what he thinks. And I was terrified. And he's, oh no, let's talk about it. Let's get this done, and that's the first time he's ever talked about any of that stuff.
That is awesome.
And he also is from Manchester, so he knows all of the people in that scene that I adore. Like, he knows Peter Hook, he knows all the stuff about the buzz. He's also tied into that sort of musical legacy of Manchester, but also the pop culture aspects of as well, like the films and the books and all the stuff. And he is very definitely a Manc. And also, as someone who took care of a parent, I related to him as well. If you ever read his book, it talks about him taking care of his dad, but dealing with a relative that's sort of dealing with, dementia and getting older. That was a really unique sort of off-panel conversation. I never thought I'd be having a conversation with an actor from Doctor Who about, caring for the dementia people. So that's probably one of them as well.
Of course. That's better than,
And
wow. It's pretty amazing.
When I met Troughton, he had the beard because he just finished Box of Delights. And I was like 15, and they had like a raffle where you could do like a 15-minute Q&A with him. So I got to do a 15-minute Q&A with Troughton, and that poor man, I hit him with, 17-year-old me hit him with every friggin' question in the world, right? Like, the first question is, what did you and Frasier do when you were offset? He can't answer that. Fraser has answered it now, but he, so yeah, that was cool. Jodie was a delight. Capaldi's great. Yeah.
Okay. No, that's awesome. What was your most disappointing Doctor Who Geek Out moment?
So I was supposed to interview Matt Smith at a particular convention that we all go to. And I'm on the elevator going to the panel, and I got a call saying, "Oh, you're not doing the panel now. There was another person at the con who wanted to do the panel." So he called Matt Smith's agent and ended up bumping me to do the panel.
What?
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's uncool.
Yeah. So that kind of bummed. I mean, I met Matt Smith and it was fine, but like I'd done like 2 to 4 hours of prep and all that other stuff. So I've met Matt Smith, but I've never done a panel with him. And I had a bunch of really great questions. The lead question will always be, who is your favorite queen, Jenna or Claire? Just to put them on the spot, that's one of them. Probably the other one, and I've been, most of the people in Doctor Who are really nice, right? And this is Doctor Who adjacent, but I met Paul Darrow, and I met him at a convention, and he was nice. And then I was at the bar at the hotel, and he basically sat down at our table, and he was, I don't understand why this happened, but he was playing Elvis in the West End, or he just got done playing Elvis, and he literally walked us through the entire play from start to finish for 3.5 hours.
Wow.
Didn't talk about Blake Seven, didn't talk about anything else. It was just, I played Elvis, and he sort of like, we got dialogue bits. It was, oh my God, it was just weird. So those are probably my big sort of crazy ones.
Oh, that's awesome though.
Also, the time I almost, and I've never told anybody this, the time I almost killed John Pertwee.
What did you do?
It was almost.
Oh. Almost.
So I was at Visions.
You were the one.
I was at Visions one year in Chicago, and Pertwee was there, and I was fighting off bronchitis, right? And I'm walking down the hall, and I start hacking up a lung, right? And I'm covering my mouth like a smart person and stuff, but I'm still hacking up a lung, and I'm like, okay, I don't have a Kleenex. Oh, look, there's a plant, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna hit the plant. Perfect, right? I didn't realize that I loogied my crap on the floor, right? So I keep going, and then John Pertwee keeps walking around, dum-da-dum-da-dum, and then he does like a quasi-slip where he loses his footing but regains it. And I realized, oh my God, I almost made John Pertwee fall. And at this point, he's older, right? And like, I'm not telling anybody. I'm just going to keep on going, right? So that is probably my most awful time as a Doctor Who fan. But he was lovely when I met him.
His son is watching this show, listening to us, and he's coming after you now.
Yeah, you're the one who almost killed my father. What or who would you like to see on Doctor Who?
I want to see more historical stories.
That would be awesome.
Just because the writers now have gotten sort of so formulaic with the Adventure in Space, and the last couple historical stories, while they haven't been perfect, like they stick out, right? The Ghost of the Punjab and Rose, for example, they stick out. The Ncuti Gatwa stories, where he's in different historical times, those stick out as well, right? I just think it'd be nice to have more of those. I just think it works really well. and we sort. I also think it makes the writers have to work harder. They have to do more research, and I also wanted them to go back to longer episodes. I mean, we all grew up watching 90 minutes, getting attention span, people. Now, I will say there are some Doctor Who episodes that are 90 minutes that very easily could be 75, but there are some, more than not, some 45-minute episodes of stories of Doctor Who, or an hour episodes that could be 90 minutes, and we'd all think they were great. It's what makes an episode go from being just okay to like great, right? Like Vampires of Venice could have been so much better. Would 90 minutes have helped it? Maybe, right? Midnight is perfect the length that it is. Pompeii is perfect, but there's some episodes that could have been longer. So I'd like to see them go back to the varying episodes lengths. I'd like to see them bring back historical stories. Casting wise, a lot of people have been in it that I love, which is great. Like, the Van Gogh episode with Bill Nye. I'm like, okay, I want to see Bill Nye and Doctor Who done, right? I would probably kind of think who I'd love to see back in, sort of in Doctor. I never thought I'd say this, but like when in the Rowan Atkinson special that we saw with him, I thought Hugh Grant was fantastic, but I also really love Jonathan Pryce as the Master.
Oh, he was awesome.
So both of those would be great. And so I'd like to see that. And I'd like, once we got our appetites wet with it, I kind of want to see Chris Marshall. I'm not sure I want to see him as the Doctor, but I'd like to see him, in it. Yeah, and I will instantly think of way more people. I'd also like to see Kelly MacDonald in Doctor Who, because she's got the best Scottish accent and she's hard on the eyes. Not really, but so yeah, those are my answers for that.
That is awesome. Well, Rob, congratulations, my friend. You made it through the Geek Seat. Congrats.
And make Phoebe Waller-Bridge the showrunner.
Oh my God, that would be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be cool to see. That would definitely be cool to see. Well, Rob, since you've made it through, Mr. Mike Gordon, tell the young man what he's won.
You have won a lifetime subscription to, I don't even know what is relevant now. Sorry.
Cracked or Mad or
yeah, right. There we
the
go.
National Enquirer, There
we go.
Yeah. Who
Rice-A-Roni.
knows? Rice-A-Roni,
I will take a subscription to Rice-A-Roni.
Do I get the home game, the ESO home game?
ESO home game.
You get the ESO. You open it up and it says howdy to you every time you open it.
Is there like awesome. A version of Candyland with all ESO characters? Or Clue?
Exactly.
Clue with ESO people would be great.
Well, it would always be Bobby Nash in the airlock, with the typewriter.
That's true.
Yeah. So, and always the victim would be JD. So it's awesome. So it's perfect with that. So that is cool, my friend. Well, that is awesome. If anyone out there would like to take part in the Geek Seat, please write us. We'd always like new victims. Please, feedback at ourstationwho.com is the best way to do it. Let's take a quick break and we'll be back with Planet of Evil. Welcome back. Now we are going back to the year 1975, and we are looking at the Fourth Doctor story, The Planet of Evil, starring, of course, Tom Baker, Elizabeth Sladen, produced by Philip Hinchcliffe, directed by David Maloney, written by Lewis Marks. It was an interesting story, and it was kind of, predictable and everything, but it was fun as heck to watch. And, typical, base under siege by this strange, creatures that, nobody could see. And, it was fun. And let's find out initial thoughts from everybody on the crew. Let's start with Mike Gordon this time.
I love this. I guess at the top of the show, I said, this is my jam. I'm a big Hinchcliffe fan. This is Hinchcliffe, and you get Holmes doing it as a story editor, and so there's a lot of that influence. And this is like really one of the first episodes where we really see the Doctor and Sarah Jane connect. I think, as a matter of fact, I think I saw where Liz Sladen said that this is one of her favorite episodes because she really felt that they were. This is the first time that she felt that they were really connecting as a on-screen, duo. And yeah, it's the set design on this is just phenomenal. Set design is phenomenal. Yeah, the plot is takes a lot from Jekyll and Hyde and some little elements of Forbidden Planet and stuff like that, but it does what Doctor Who does, which is like puts it in a blender and has fun with it. The casting is really good in this one too. This is, like I said, I love this stuff. The music's solid. I really really enjoyed this one. It kind of gets overlooked, I think, because it comes in between, like, airwise when it aired. It comes in between Terror of the Zygons and Pyramids of Mars, and those are two classics. So you look at those two and you compare this one, it's like, oh yeah, there's Planet of Evil kind of there too. But I say this is just as solid, and a lot of fun moments in this.
Okay. Mel.
Yeah, to echo Mike a lot. This is one of my favorite episodes. I thought this is like the time where, and I could, for me now learning that this is what she thought that was like when they were first starting to kind of connect and gel. When I was watching it, a lot of the times I would see Sarah Jane kind of show off how smart she is. Like at the very beginning, the picking up a tool of like, oh, they're humanoid. And like, how do you know that? Oh, they've got hands. Or other like pieces where she that she'd bring up like that are very observational, like the magnets being, we should be able to open the window. How? It's magnet locked. We have no power. I love the fact that she's bringing this stuff up to the Doctor, even though it's kind of, and it's not like he's oblivious to it, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of a pride there when he smiles, because he's like, oh, okay, you caught that too. Those that interplay between them, I really really loved, from a writing perspective and the performance and everything. Because again, the little nuances between, like, that they just seemed like a team. At first, I don't think, like, the first time I watched it, I don't think I realized that they were like in water at one point, and then at this time, maybe because I have a bigger television and it's now better, just everything when it comes to HD. I didn't notice that they were slogging through water at one point in the very beginning. Like they had that Star Warsy, like, I'm waiting for a Dianoga to like pop up and look through, that kind of thing. I'm like, wait
That's
a minute,
awesome.
wait, they actually flooded this set? Wait a second, because I remember all the other parts where they're running around. But yeah, for the production value, I thought it is great for its time, and really had fun with, like, oh look, the Oculus thing, it's a drone. It's a drone. And when it flies, when it's slow, it's going, and it speeds up, goes zzz. So even the sound on this was like all these little pieces, all these little nuances. They everybody came to play, and I really liked I loved these 4 episodes.
Nope. Agree with that. All right, Dave.
I've brought this up in the past when I've been on the show that Tom Baker is a giant hole in my adult experience with Doctor Who. I've seen very, very, very little Tom Baker episodes. And I've kept it that way intentionally. I want to watch them, when I have the opportunity to do something like this and talk about it. And I loved this episode. Coming into it almost completely blind.
So was this your first time seeing it?
This is my first time seeing it that I recall. There is a reasonable chance that I may have seen it as a child.
Okay.
But I
Gotcha.
don't, like I said, as an adult, this is the first time I've seen it.
Okay. Gotcha. No. So I'll be very curious to hear your reactions to a lot of this.
Yeah.
So, all right. Very cool. All right, Rob.
So most of what Mike said, but there's a scene in sort of the end of episode 2, right before he falls into the giant, spoilers, the giant hole, where he's going through this like sort of bric-a-brac Dagobah looking set. And I'm just like, this just looks fantastic, even though the model work is all cruddy, right? And like I don't think there's been a better example of the use of dry ice in Doctor Who in a very long time. I mean, that was fantastic. But also, what I thought was interesting was the color contrast. I know I'm taking this in a totally weird direction, but like when they come down on the ship, those guys are all in blue and everybody else is in really dark colors. So you've got this gothic sort of like dark story. And the only pop visually are these guys in these hideously blue space outfits, right? I thought that was an interesting sort of contrast. But I love the music. The lighting is great. Like all the little things to frame the story is great. And I'm okay with them doing Jekyll and Hyde. You know, we've gotten Frankenstein, we got Dracula, and now we've got this, you know, in the Tom Baker era, we kind of get all three of those. So,
well, actually, if you think about it, the next storyline, they got mummies.
Yeah,
that's right.
It's Pyramid of Mars.
So, yeah, I'm okay with that. You know, take what, you know, science fiction is always borrowed from things in the past and made it work. I do think sort of Tom Baker sort of really, really hitting his stride in this season. And Sarah Jane is also fantastic in it. But I love the fact that this is the episode, and Michael kind of talked about this a little bit too. You could tell she's a journalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the questions she asks, and the part where I remember thinking the part where she just sneaks out the door to like go check on the doctor. She's starting to do the little behaviors that a journalist would do, right? Which a lot of the other companions didn't do, right? And I love that we get all the subtleties with her and that. And, you know, Tom Baker with his little flippant jokes that he makes, like this one's, oh, I met Shakespeare. Oh, was he a good actor? Not really. Yeah, probably, or whatever. You know, that little aside stuff with him really works. So I think it's a lot of different moving parts all coming together. And the Hinchcliffe era is my favorite era of, you know, Tom Baker. So just like every story just bangs in some way. And the fact that we have an absolute rubbish CGI digital monster, but we're all still kind of on the edge of our seats, like, what is this? Really speaks to how well everybody acts and performs.
Mm-hmm. It was awesome because you got, you know, the video effects of the era, you know, for the monster, because it was antimatter. And, you know, it was interesting too, because it was like, I almost was fully expecting the doctor to whip out going, oh, I dealt with the antimatter universes before, just a couple years ago when I met my past selves, and oh my God, or something like that, because it was pretty much the same thing right there. And I enjoyed this story. It moved very smoothly. There were no real dead times, and I loved it. And exactly what you guys were saying earlier, the whole time, the very first couple episodes, I was thinking Sarah's being a reporter. And there were a lot of times in that era where they forgot that with her. And I loved this with her. She wasn't just a screaming companion. And, you know, in this, and she was actually, you know, fully assisting the doctor and, you know, finding things out on that the doctor wasn't finding out. And that was pretty amazing. And Tom was pretty much on top of everything through it all. And that was just what made it pretty awesome. And I had fun with this one. And I thought the effects for the era were great. The sets were beautiful. The sets were, you know, it's like, oh my God, what did they blow their full budget on that jungle set right there for the season? You know, and so it was like there was money put into this one. And I'm glad we didn't see the antimatter monster more than we did. I thought it left it all for you in your head and everything. And, you know, Dave, since this was your first time, what was your reactions to, you know, seeing this? Were you like going, huh? Or was this like, oh, this is great, you know, type thing?
Oh, I absolutely adored it.
Okay.
It was fabulous. The Oculoid, like Mel was saying, was great. Like it felt like a modern Doctor Who with that drone. Even with Sarah Jane's outfit, you could see that on the street today.
Oh, very much so.
Really? Like
I love the drone that, you know, it had an eyeball in it.
Yeah.
You know, it was just like, okay, that's a little creepy right there, but
it's all
passable.
Even the camera angle having it so that the drone was here and following it, and it was following it smoothly up and over.
It was
David
definitely
Maloney is one of the better directors from that time too.
Yeah.
And it really shows here, not only with the effects and his angle, like he just was good at everything, working with the actors and everything. So really solid stuff here.
I did actually like the antimatter effect, like the antimatter creature effect. It wasn't amazing because it's 19 whatever 70 something. But it fit 75. There we go. It fit. It was period appropriate, but you could still see something very similar to that now, and it holds up for what it is. It's not like you're looking at the Merca where you're going, oh my God.
Well, it also them thinking, okay, this is a creature that's antimatter. It's not made of matter. It's not made of anything. So they used the technology that they had for the time to do the special effect to showcase something that's not tangible. So I'm like, okay, I see. Oh, like, I see what you're doing. This is awesome. Now, the one part I do have a problem with on their effects, only thing was the stairs that came down, the two strings that lifted and put it down.
Yep.
I was like, guys, what are we doing here? And every time the actors started going down the steps, I was like, please don't trip, please don't trip, please don't trip.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's going to hold the way.
They might fix the wires on the Blu-ray. We'll see.
Yes,
but like for me, that shot of the spaceship coming near the planet, I'm like, oh my God, this is everything we love about Doctor Who. It looks like a giant cheese ball with like a plastic toy coming toward, but that's okay because this is what we love about it.
But even the toy was dirty on the bottom.
Yeah.
So
well, that's nice though.
I was like, there, okay. I'm like, good on you for detail.
I thought it was just like the planet actually to me looked like a giant mango or something.
Yeah, I think they just I thought they just went, it looked in the fruit cellar and pulled out something from pulled out an orange or something. I mean, which made sense because this was like a living, like biologically rich planet. So, and yeah, the set design was cool. I will say that the designs of the ship, I think to your point, Mike, all the money went into the planet. Not much money went into the actual ship, right? Because those designs are pretty sparse and not really impressive. But the design of the planet itself was pretty cool. As far as the creature goes, it's funny because you guys are saying oh well, it's it's what they were doing at the time and in the 70s and 75 or whatever. That effect that they're using for the antimatter beast is from Forbidden Planet, which is in the 50s. That's 20 years before this. So it's not, so they're well aware of what they're doing here. And I really liked it. It was an homage to that creature that is in Forbidden Planet. And it works for me that way. Now, does it work when they're duplicated and going all over the ship and everything? Not as well. When it's on the planet, I really dug it, especially when it's coming out of the hole. I just thought, and it's approaching Tom in that scene that you were mentioning, Rob. I love that. I thought that looked really good.
And the other thing too that's interesting about this is that little weird entryway we see at the beginning where the crew of scientist people on the planet come in and out. That thing just looked, compared to the rest of the planet, looked really cheap, right?
Yeah.
That looked like they called Sid and Marty Krofft. All right. This is sort of like if they were to set Land of the Lost in Tim Burton's universe, that is what we'd get, right? That's just kind of what it looked like.
Then the doors would close properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's okay, and I love, I love the fact that we've got this scientists that are carrying around basically paint cans. Oh, that's a paint can. Okay. And they got these weird crystal things in it. It's oh, all right.
Yeah, exactly. It's that looks like what my Altoids are sitting in right now.
I love the duality of it, right? Where on one side, you've got the Jekyll and Hyde storyline where you've got the sort of really malevolent person turning into a horrible person, right? And then you also have sort of, and they pick up some of this later. I know we talked about Midnight, some other stuff later, but they kind of picked this up a little bit in the newer series. The live and let live idea, where the alien just says, "Give me back my toys, and I'll let you leave the house." Right? That's kind of a cool idea. You know, they don't do that enough. You know, I mean, they can't tell suit tech, you know, hey, just put me back in the ground and I'm fine, right? So I kind of dug that too, the sort of like live and let live idea of it. It's like they don't have to like defeat the alien by sending it off somewhere in eternity or killing it or exiling it somewhere. You know, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, the title of the story is Planet of Evil, but I think that's a misnomer because I don't know if there's really evil here because it doesn't seem like, even though the monster is menacing and he's killing people in a violent manner, I don't know that he's doing it for reasons that he's not just doing it to do it, right? He's not just doing it, he's doing it to protect, you know, and what, according to the doctor, he's doing it to protect the whole universe, because if this stuff mixes and is you know, that's a bad thing for everybody. Not to say that, you know, the monster is that you know, generous or benevolent, but then you find out through the course of the characters, especially Salamar, controller Salamar, that, you know, sometimes and the scientist, of course, too, sometimes the evil and the bad, the malevolence comes from humans, right? So, and I think that's when Doctor Who really rocks, is when it turns the monsters on its head. It's not the monsters, it's not the creatures you should be afraid of, it's the people. And of course, Salamar is played by Prentice Hancock, who we lost earlier this year, just passed away. Weird to see him without his mustache. He's known for, you know, playing Paul Morrow in Space 1999 all those years. Yep. But I will say, to Rob's point too, the atmosphere, the whole like set design of the planet really reminded me of like a pulpy sci-fi novel, like a Frazetta cover. And Salamar is in this bright blue outfit, this sort of like space cadet uniform, looks bright away, and just he looks and the way his hair's cut and everything, and his you know, wonderful jaw and everything line, he looks like a Sal Buscema drawing. He looks like a comic character come to life, like, I'm perfect, man, you know, that kind of thing. And I really thought that it was a really interesting. I know, Rob, and I agree with you, there's a lot of goth influence here, but there's a lot of pulpy comic book influence in this too. The set, especially with the design work here, that I really appreciate, that you don't usually see in Doctor Who.
Yeah, but it was interesting, Mikey, that character of, you know, Salamar, he was very black and white. He didn't see any of the gray. He was like, you know, these guys are the aliens. These are the bad guys. These are, you know.
Gee, a military man not being able to compromise and see the gray? I don't know where they would get that idea from.
Yeah,
exactly. but it drove him insane till the crew had to mutiny against him. And so it was just like, no, and it ended up killing him. So it was just interesting.
He ends up turning into his own monster. I mean, he makes things so much worse.
But then we also get the dynamic between him and Wyszynski, right? Where it's like, you know, for once, not everybody on the ship is like, the Doctor's the villain. Wyszynski's like, hey, wait a minute, let's hold this out here, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I love that too. I thought that like he was sort of an interesting side character because, one, he's not older and glam looking, and he's not doing the, hey, look at me, I'm a precursor to the boys in my cute outfit, right? He's like very much a man of like experience and science. So it's almost like the two military sort of minds or generations clashing, right? There's a lot of social dynamics of Britain at the time in this episode as well that are interesting.
Yes.
But I really liked Wyszynski as a character, and that dynamic with him as well, I thought was interesting.
Wasn't he the character that when one of the other crewmen died, that he put him in the first time we see that little kind of sliding agent where he put the body in, and he says what he asked, so I don't know if it was him or not, but to at least to showcase the humanity of these characters, was that they asked for the dead crewman what faith he was.
Yeah.
That he had to play whatever, because I remember I thought it was kind of fun, the line saying, well, you know, we need to play the last rites, doesn't mean we have to hear it, and then kind of turn the volume down, and then still acknowledging that making a red shirt who's gone, and actually just not making them collateral and going, okay, we're going to send you off. And one, it kind of foreshadows what that little device does, which was they put some production value in that, because later on you see how much weight's in there, and they're able to slide the Doctor and Sarah Jane very easily on that.
Yes.
But yeah, it's also to show that there was humanity behind these people, which I thought was kind of nice, which was really nice.
No, agreed. And I thought that was great. And I loved when they were going to shoot him out of the airlock, the Doctor and poor Sarah. And it's like, and of course, at the last minute, it was just like, no more, stop. Boop. Exactly.
Bring him back here.
Exactly.
And what is up with that weird sort of like Iron Maiden sadistic thing that he's holding Sorensen in the TARDIS? That he's got Sorensen when he's turned into Hyde on the floor of the TARDIS, and he's got these weird clamp things on. It looks like he's
just happened to have this industrial
random shackles.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to carry him like luggage or something. I'm like, it's like, what is that, and why do you have it? Right? I just thought that was kind of like,
well,
it'll change the rating of the show if we answer that honestly.
I know. I was going to comment on it, but it's like, no, want to keep it clean for everybody. So,
but
it's a very malleable metal for him to be bending it, and the Doctor's literally his feet. Their feet are touching, and like him on the floor, and it's just bending this. It's like so quiet. It's like, okay. Also, how far away are you?
Yeah,
get to your destination quick. No,
exactly. And it was interesting to see, and I just thought it was a very well done story, and I'm glad to see, it ended, I was going to say, you lost almost all the crew, all the expedition that was down there was gone. The only ones, there's like two or three people left,
Yeah, I thought that was just Vyshensky and Sarah Jane until like they show another scene and there was like more crew members. I was like, oh
yeah, I got the impression that I see. Yeah, I got the impression that there was more crew, but they just we didn't see them. They were just in the ship somewhere.
Of course, because they blew the money on the set of the jungle.
Yeah,
they couldn't hire extras.
I mean, they had a lot of guys on the planet, but they just didn't come aboard the ship. I guess I don't know.
And again, this is what makes Doctor Who goofy, but like that scene where Sorensen collapses on the bed, he collapses on the bed and it shakes the set behind him, so you can see a gap then in the wall on the set. I'm like, this is what makes Doctor Who like so great, right?
I have to rewatch that.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, or when he was transformed into the antimatter version of himself, and you could see the spirit gum a little bit on where the wig was and everything like that. It's like, oh,
they were
guys.
Definitely not meant to be seen at high definition.
No.
Yeah.
I like that when he became anti-man, he became like Team Wolf.
Yeah,
like, exactly. What are you turning into?
Exactly.
There's a
I thought the effect on the eyes was really cool.
Oh, that was really cool.
That was awesome. The teeth, not so much.
No.
But yeah.
There's also a lot of wobbly cams, but that's okay. This is why we love it. I just have to tell myself when I see that. Yeah, the eyes effect was amazing. And I'm like, that's not using a big budget to really pull off an effect, right?
Not at all.
And I thought that that actor was actually really good at being both terrifying and sort of like the victim at the same time. There's a really great duality to him that we get, which I really liked.
I do think that could have been played out a little bit better, because at the end he's redeemed, and I didn't know I understand that was a Hinchcliffe thing. I think that wasn't in the original script, but Hinchcliffe was he was the one who actually said we need this to have a quote unquote happy ending. So we need to see the professor or the doctor, the scientist guy. We need to see him sort of alive at the end and say, oh, it was all just the effects of the radiation. And I was like, that's too much of an out for me. I that was a little bit too clean to me. I think I would have been fine if he had just perished. Actually,
here I thought it was sweet that he tells him, oh no, because he's all confused. He's like, oh no, you don't you remember? You abandoned that. You figured that kinetic energy is the way to go.
I mean, Tom's funny in that.
I was like, oh, I like this.
Yeah. But then it would have been great if Shinsky went, oh, you're going to be spending the rest of your life in prison because you killed how many people?
Killed like 18 guys or whatever. It's like, you're going to jail.
Yeah, exactly.
You can
Yeah.
look at your scientific theories and do all your research from jail.
Exactly. No, but sometimes in this era of Doctor Who, overall it's really good, but sometimes the stories drag. And I didn't feel like that in this one's.
No, that is not the case during this era, at least for me. For my money, like during this time period, there are just almost all home runs to me. I'm not saying that they're all, 5 TARDISes, but they're all like really, really good.
They're up there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's not really I've watched these over and over again, this era, and I never get tired of them. There's not even ones that I skip because I'm just like, these are all really good. And like I said, we spend so much time talking about stuff like Terror of the Zygons and Pyramids of Mars, which we should, because they are amazing and those are great. But this one is really solid, and like I said, it's kind of nice to every once in a while just look at these and go, "Oh yeah, that was really good too."
Well, exactly. And this is the middle of Tom's second season, and he's so fit into the role of the Doctor. He made it his own.
Good. He's so good.
He's so good here in not saying much. Like there's a couple scenes where he's just looking. There's one scene that just shows him sort of like on looking at what's going on. And I think this is sort of the season where we get the famous Tom Baker eyes, where you just sort of see the bit. Yeah,
yeah, he does do that.
But I think you're right. This is where we get him sort of doing Tom Baker things.
Yep, exactly. That's pretty cool. Now, this has been fun, and I hope I'll be curious to see how everyone rates us in a few minutes. So, any final thoughts before we go ahead and do the ratings?
I do want to go ahead. Go ahead, Dave.
I was gonna say I had one weird moment where I'm like, they transmatted the TARDIS up to the ship, but including a human, and then had to land the ship to get off. Why not just transmat down? That was the one thing that kind of went, wait a minute, what? Why?
Maybe because of the speed.
Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I'm sure there's a reason.
Remember the classic Doctor Who rule: they escaped through a hole in the plot.
Valid.
I looked, and I guess this one is slated this second season of Tom's, we'll call it, because that's what they're calling it in the packaging. It will be released on Blu-ray, I guess, early next year. Which, man, that's going to be an amazing run of episodes to get on Blu-ray. But I will say, I'm kind of sad because I think if I understand correctly, a lot of the DVD material that is on the BBC DVDs are not going to be converted over, which is kind of a shame to me because I was looking over this one, and there's a really good behind the scenes thing, a documentary called The Darker Side, which talks about the in-depth ways they created the sets. But there's 2 sets actually that are on the planet that they use. One is in the video studio, the BBC studio, and then there's another off-site. And the off-site stuff is where they use film to record it, and on the BBC ones they use video. And then they have to match those, and a lot of this stuff is technical stuff, but I still found it fascinating. There's also a documentary called the Planetary Performance, which is looking at the actors' perspectives on this. And they talked to Tom, they talked to Liz, and they talked to Prentice Hancock and some others. And to even, you think, oh, well, some of these guys are just on screen for a little bit and then they get killed or whatever. They're red shirts, as we call them. But these actors are a lot of times Shakespearean actors, and they take their roles, even in something like this, very seriously, and they create backstories. And I think that shows, because it seems like even the guys that are on screen for just a little bit seem to have personality in this. And so when they die or something happens to them, you care. So I thought that was good. And this DVD even has a Easter egg, like a hidden section, which you have to kind of click and hidden, like you have to press left at continuities, and it reveals a hidden Doctor Who logo. And then you click on that, and it's got Philip Hinchcliffe going over all these production notes and budgets and ratings and feedback that he got for this whole storyline. It's really good stuff. And I'm sad that might not make it to the Blu-ray, and it makes me glad that I spent the time, right, and energy and money on getting all of the Tom Baker run on DVD. But I was kind of hoping that I could make some more room, clear some more room, and just get the Blu-rays. But if those features aren't on there, then I think that's sad. So if you can get the DVD release of this, and all of these, I think they're pretty worth it, because just for the bonus materials that BBC was doing at the time.
Yep. Oh, exactly. So you have to decide, is it worth to keep, or is it worth to get higher quality video?
Or, in my case, you'll just get both.
Exactly.
You just get them all.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about there, Mr. Gordon. All right, let's go ahead and rate this one. 1 out of 5 TARDISes, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. Rob, you're a guest tonight, so let's see what you got.
I'm gonna go 3.5. I liked it. I thought it was above average. The biggest problem this story has is that the season that it's in, everything else is just literally like a banger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do that, and also just the fact that it's a little too clean. The ending is like really quick. It sort of just wraps up a little more quicker than I probably would have liked, but that's what they did. So yeah, I'm gonna give it about a 3.5, which is not bad.
No, of course. Dave.
I loved it. I'm going to give it a 4.
Okay. That's good for your first time out, especially.
Yeah. I exactly.
Would you rewatch it?
Oh, definitely. I wanted to rewatch it. I just kind of real world prevented me from watching it a second time.
No, totally makes sense. Totally makes sense. All right, Mel.
Solid 4. Honestly, I might even go up to a 4.5 if I rewatch it again and again. Because there's anything that I can be nitpicky about, I nitpick out of love, and it's really a great cohesive story, and everybody from production to behind the screen and in front of the screen and grabbing the camera, everything is they all brought their A game. So I mean, yeah, hell, let's just settle at 4.25. Because it's more than a 4. I mean, this was really, really good. So yeah, 4.25. We'll go there.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Gordon.
I am going with a solid 4. And I think the only thing that keeps me from going 4.5, to Rob's point, the only thing that keeps it going from 4.5 to 5 is because it's sandwiched between 2 5s. And there are so many, like 4, 4.5, 5s. I mean, this era, it doesn't get below that in my book very often. And by the way, my favorite line that Tom has in this whole story is in the first episode when he's being questioned by the military guys that have just landed and are looking in the cabin, and they're talking about how how did you get here? And he's like, he says something to the effect of, we responded to a distress call. And he's like, yeah, but our signal would have, received it. And we didn't. And he goes, perhaps my receivers are better than yours. And one guy goes, shut up. And he goes, my manners certainly are.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
I loved
that. That was such a Tom thing too. It was so
good. And it's like, that's the era that we're in. Exchanges like that, and it's just fun stuff.
Yep, exactly. All right, I'm gonna give it a solid 4. It was great. I thought it was a good story. It was very rewatchable, and it didn't drag. It wasn't like, let's beam up to the spaceship, let's beam down, let's beam up again, let's beam down, and so we didn't have that. And the story did it. And, it was like, even when the doctor fell into the antimatter pit, it was just like, oh, that was awesome. And to find out, and then they had the wibbly wobbly, it was just awesome. It was just awesome. Definitely give it a thumbs up, folks. Would I recommend this as a first time, somebody who's coming new to Doctor Who to watch for the first time, yeah, I would actually.
Yeah, I would have a problem with that, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a lot of like really information to know about the Doctor, but it's still just a fun, cool story.
Exactly. And it's total sci-fi at its best. And it touches on a horror theme too, which is nice. And that people will be familiar.
Nice October spooky movie programming there, Mike.
No, exactly. And I didn't even plan it that way. It just happened.
No, sure you did. Good. Sure you did. That's what Mike, see, that's what
I've got to give myself more credit. Patting
you
myself
be like,
on the back.
There you go. You got to be like, we planned it that way.
Exactly. Happy Halloween, everybody. Okay. But yeah, we definitely would love to hear from you. Feedback at ourstationwho.com. Definitely let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for listening. We do appreciate you guys as always. Let's thank our crew for joining us today. Let's thank Dave for filling in for Mary. We do appreciate you.
Anytime. I would love to come back, do more Tom Baker stuffs, and give me the opportunity to watch more of him.
Anything you want to promote, sir?
You can find me Sundays on Spill the Geek Tea, Tuesdays on The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. First Thursday of the month, Happiness Patrol with Melanie.
Yay.
And as of now, Horses on Film, my new show that's bi-weekly, also on YouTube, where we talk about the top 100 Westerns.
Nice. Nice.
I'm all over YouTube.
You find him. He's a face you can never forget. Yeah, so it's perfect. So awesome. Rob, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Tonight. You were awesome. How can people find you?
All right. So I am on all of the socials except the X. I'm on the Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. So you can find me there just under my name. And then you can also find me elsewhere on the network, believe it or not.
That's right.
With the Anthony Williams and the Alan Seiler and our other host, Stephanie, for Modern Musicology, our music podcast that we do.
Hold it. Stephanie doesn't get a "the" at the beginning of her name.
She doesn't get a "the" because she's not on the network. She gets a "miss."
Ah, gotcha. Yes.
The would. I don't want to infer that she's an object as a "the."
Okay.
Yeah,
fair enough.
I'm covering my bases.
Okay.
So yes, and former drummer of the Aquanettas and Birdwatcher. But that is on the network. You could check that out. We just talked about a couple different things. The year 1995. We've done
great episode.
We've had Robin Hitchcock on. We've had members of the Go-Go's on. We've had bunches of really cool things going on with that as well. We actually had a very lovely conversation off camera with Robin Hitchcock about Doctor Who, which was surreal and great. So that
awesome.
That podcast is on the network. Please listen to it, or I'll cry. And then you can find me on a couple different outlets. On Mondays, I do a show on Louder Than War Radio, which is based out of Manchester, England. It's called Antics. You can listen to that on Louder Than War Radio. Just go to the website. All 126 editions of that as of right now are archived. Also, the Face Radio out of Brooklyn. You can find me there as well. That is Mondays from 5 to 7 Central, 6 to 8. I should also say Antics is 12 to 2 Central, 1 to 3 Eastern, 6 to 8 Greenwich Mean Time. And then, so those two shows are weekly. And then Eardrum Buzz Radio out of Los Angeles. I do 2 shows a month and they repeat them. And that repeats on Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Eastern and also at 10 o'clock Eastern. So those are my 3 little radio side hustles. And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. I'm glad you're keeping busy. I would hate to see you being bored at any time. So,
well, it's the ADHD.
Yeah, of course. Let's also thank our regulars. Ms. Melanie Dean, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you for letting me talk about this awesome episode.
Excellent. You want to promote your stuff?
Dave kind of covered it ish because usually the other things I'm on, kind of tagging along with him. Or wherever he is on
wherever I move around.
Doing Happiness Patrol with Dave, and Also a lot of the gents from that, including Dave, Cameron, and Scott I was able to guest on one of the horses on a film. So I got to talk about Rio Bravo, and I love that movie
Ooh,
because I grew up
nice.
with it.
Very nice.
I love that.
Nice.
So I'm not sure when that airs or whatnot. But yeah, that's enough for me.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. And Mr. Michael Gordon, we've made it through another one, my friend.
And as always, it's my pleasure.
Anything you want to promote?
Just the usual Bat Chums, where we talk about Batman 66. And of course, the Dragon Con report. We're getting ready to record another post-con show. This one's going to look all at centered around the Dragon Con, the various cults of Dragon Con.
So it's 5 hours.
Yeah, that's right. I know. I think afterwards we're gonna have our own cult about that episode, so that'll be kind of interesting to see if that pops up. And of course, the new Legend Lounge, which we're talking all about things that are like jukebox thrillers because we're getting ready to publish that. But also, I just wanted to point out too, since it is spooky season, that I am publishing almost a movie a day, a review, because I'm watching a bunch of this is my jam, so I'm watching a lot of classic horror movies, some creepy movies, some Japanese ghost movies, some Bela Lugosi, some early Hammer movies, etc., etc. I try to run the gambit and talk about a variety of movies that I'm watching or rewatching at this time. So you can find all of that stuff on my socials, Instagram or Facebook.
That is amazing, sir. All good stuff you got going on there. All right, my stuff, of course. You could also always find me here, Earth Station Who, part of the ESO network. We run a great podcast network, and we have some fantastic shows and quite a few people here on the network. And so it's pretty cool stuff there. Of course, I also have a couple other shows. I also do the production on Tales from Hollywoodland. This last week, we talked all about the career of Sean Connery, who would have been 95 this year if he was still with us. So happy birthday, Sir Sean. Then we also, over on Julian Schlossberg's Movie Talk podcast, we're doing the second part of our interview with Rob Reiner, and it was awesome. I actually got to talk to him before we recorded, and on the back of the wall behind him, he had a sword, and I had to say, "Is that the Dread Pirate Robert's sword?" And he was like, "Yes. How did you know?" So we were going back and forth with that, and so I was just like, he was just such a nice guy to talk to, and it was a great interview, and second part will be going live probably before we're done recording this episode here. So look for it wherever fine podcasts
talk about his
are found.
role in Batman.
Why, yes, we did. The 66.
Because we just actually reviewed the episode that he had made his first on-screen appearance on, which is a Batman 66 episode.
He said that was one of his very first acting roles on screen. And so, yes, he talked about that a little bit, and it was pretty amazing. And it was a great interview. And I think it was one of Julian's best that he's done. And so, check it out wherever fine podcasts are found. Also have a new project coming that I can't really talk about yet, but it's going to be, mix of podcasting. It's going to be illustrations, and it's also going to be some writing for me. So it's going to be a pretty big project for me. So look for it probably after the first of the year. So we got some good stuff coming with that. And, a little, other things going on, which, lots of always things in the air with the network. So we'll have to see what's going on with that. But we definitely thank you for everything. If you want, check out our Facebook group. Amazing place. And, we always talk about Doctor Who news up there, Doctor Who stories, post memes, whatever you want Doctor Who wise, you can find it up on Earth Station Who up on Facebook. We also have an Instagram where we post, stories and such also, and artwork. Definitely check that out also. Please, if you liked it and made it this far into the show, please like and subscribe. We would really appreciate it. And if you can, give us a thumbs up. That's always a plus too. On behalf of all of us here with the podcast, we do appreciate you guys. We will see you guys all soon. On behalf of Rob, Dave, Melanie, Mike, and of course, Mike, and Mary, Hope you're having fun in Alaska. We miss you. We'll see y'all soon. Peace and LNZ, my friends. Ciao.
You have been listening to Earth Station Who, a pop culture podcast dedicated to all things Doctor Who, featuring talents from throughout space and time. All topics on the show are the sole opinions of the individuals and are to be used for entertainment value alone. You can subscribe to our show wherever fine podcasts are found, or check out our website, earthstationwho.com. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook or Instagram, and if you enjoyed the show, please write to us at feedback@earthstationwho.com. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the next journey of Earth Station Who.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.